And welcome back to another episode of Irish Insight, episode 2. I got my main guys with me. Gives a Fact, how we doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. We got episode 2. Blessed to be back for another episode, man. Can't complain.
Brian, how we doing today?
Doing great. Officially moved into Chicago, so all is well, but I'm excited for another rundown of Notre Dame football. So let's get after it.
And guys, we have some huge news. This episode is actually brought to you by Save Our Livers, which is a company that is trying to prevent hangovers. Everyone gets a little too drunk sometimes. Everyone, wakes up the next morning feeling like shit. And you know what helps it out? Save Our Livers. Go to their Instagram at Save Our Livers. Go to their website, saveourlivers.com. Anything you order, use code VictoryLap, all capital, and you get 10% off. Give us your feedback. We're going to be doing some giveaways with them. It's exciting stuff. Once again, go to saveourlivers.com, order something. They have a lot of good products out there. We're getting their products here shortly, so we can show you guys too. But use code VictoryLap, capital VictoryLap, and we'll post more about it. But it's some exciting news, guys. So I know we're going to be using it. So with that being said, let's get right into it with our episode today. So we're going to start off with, ND's brand. Notre Dame has one of the biggest brands, most recognizable brands. I don't know if a lot of our listeners listen to Colin Cowherd, but he has them ranked as basically a top 10 most recognizable brand in the world. So, Andrew, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's crazy that one of the big things we wanted to talk about today was, so each year the SEC has one primetime game on CBS, if I'm not mistaken, and is it actually nailed in stone that it's going to be Georgia and Notre Dame yet?
Yes.
Yeah, that's already a done deal.
Nailed in stone. They're one game per year. The one game they're using for the entire year is an out-of-conference game. I think that it's got to be one of the only times that's ever happened, that I can remember anyway. Just speaks volumes to that. But anywhere you go, I mean, you got Notre Dame fans there. I mean, there's Notre Dame bars across the country that you can go watch a game at. I mean, Michael and I have traveled to I've been to so many different away stadiums, and the crowd is insane every time we go there. But Philadelphia, Dallas, Tallahassee, just wherever you can think of, there's a crowd of them.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. It just is a testament to how, no matter what, I mean, there's a lot of people that hate Notre Dame, but you either love them or you hate them, and that drives ratings. It drives people to want to watch them play. I mean, I'm looking at some of the SEC games this year. You got Alabama at Auburn. You got Florida, Georgia. You got Alabama, Texas A&M, Florida, LSU. I mean, you have all these insane matchups this year, and they choose Notre Dame at Georgia, a non-conference game.
I will say,
that's
Brian,
insane.
Brian, I will say though, Alabama, Auburn will never be played at night, and neither will Florida, Georgia. But I agree with you on that point.
Okay, yeah. Okay, whatever. Still got LSU, Alabama. Still got a lot of good games. But, yeah, you're probably right on those.
But, yeah, I mean, you would think, though, with CBS being SEC country, though, that they would want an SEC matchup for their primetime game. It's SEC football on CBS. That's all it is. So why would you take the one time that you have on a primetime slot and use it on someone who's not in the SEC? And I would say maybe the SEC hates Notre Dame more than any other conference. I don't know if you guys...
That could be true. Because the Big Ten...
Well, okay, yeah.
I would say it's up there. It's between them two, without a doubt.
Those two for sure. And then to Brian's point of you either hate them or you like them, how many people we know, being from South Bend, even though they hate them so much, I feel like they hate them more than the team they actually like.
Yeah.
Multiple people.
I know more. The people that I know from around here, there's just as many of them that hate Notre Dame, but they don't even have a college football team. Like just as many of them that have a team and hate them. Like you said, it's kind of like the White Sox Cubs syndrome, really.
Right.
Over the past years, it seems.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. You have a lot of people that just love to hate them more than the teams they like you've been saying. But I mean, that's good. I mean, that's one of the probably the most fundamental reasons why Georgia and Notre Dame is a primetime game. It's like Duke in college basketball, kind of like the Cubs, like you were saying, Andrew. But yep. I mean, that works. That works for TV, and that works for brand recognition.
They're up there.
Without a doubt.
They're up there with like everyone hates Alabama, but they hate Notre Dame for a different reason. But they're up there with like the Lakers. Lakers haven't won shit lately, but everyone hates them. Like Notre Dame, they've won, but it's not like they won national. Like I could understand if you would hate the team if they win year in year out like Alabama has been. That's why everyone hates Alabama. It's not because of their brand. It's just because they've been winning at an outrageous amount in the past 10, 15 years.
Right. And I think
similar. Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
I think you got to attribute some of this, I think, to it being week 3, right? I mean, it can't get much better of a situation for both teams to be unbeaten, right? And then you got so much on the line for the rest of the season coming in at such an early slot. Like there's essentially no risk in this game there's no risk really for either team slipping up for it to be at its highest potential height. Like both of these teams are going to be, obviously top 10, probably like whatever they're ranked, 5 or 7 or whatever it will be.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought about that. It's pretty much there's virtually no way that this game ends up being a dud.
A dud, yeah, exactly. It'll be 2 top 10 teams playing for a huge part of the season.
Plus, like we talked about last episode, I mean, if you lose early in the season, especially if, Notre Dame loses to Georgia, and if Notre Dame loses to Georgia, especially if Georgia goes undefeated the rest of the year, Notre Dame could easily make the playoffs. If it's vice versa. If Georgia loses to Notre Dame and then runs the table and Notre Dame goes undefeated, like we said, it's when you lose, and if you lose to a really good team, you're right back in it,
Yeah, exactly. And that also brings another point up. So with Notre Dame's brand being so recognizable, I want to hear your takes on this statement. Do you attribute Notre Dame's terrible BCS bowl game record as well as just bad bowl game record overall to their brand, and they're always getting slotted into the games that they probably don't deserve to be in? Or do you think they just do not show up well in those big games?
I think it's probably a healthy medium of both of them. I mean, obviously, if there's you don't know who to pick in a scenario of a bowl game, you're probably going to pick Notre Dame. I mean, those are just the
100%.
facts. I mean, I'm as big of a Notre Dame fan as there is, and you have to recognize that as just being a fact. Like, you're going to get more money with Notre Dame as your bowl, so that's just going to happen. But I don't think there's definitely been bowl games where they've looked horrible. But this kind of goes off topic. I would not put last year's game into that mix. But yes, I agree with your point. It's probably a little bit of both. But I would say it's mostly I don't know. Some years has been injuries.
Yeah, true.
You can't deny the fact that they have gotten
the year that
some of these games. But
the year that comes to my mind is the Ohio State game when Jalen Smith got hurt. What do you think about that, Michael? Do you think it's attributed there or what?
Yeah, I think it does. No, but okay. But then again, though, if Notre Dame beats Stanford, they have a chance to go into the playoffs. So, like, I don't think.
Right. That's true.
I don't think they're
that
really.
Was my injury year. I thought they were just decimated by injuries that year.
Especially when Jalen got hurt, it was like, come on, you just lost a top 10 pick if he doesn't get hurt.
Yeah,
in that bowl game. But I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both too. But then again, like, I mean, from like 2005 to 2000 or 2003 to 2010, Notre Dame would play USC pretty tough every year. There were a few that got killed though, but then USC was beating everyone. So it's like 2005, USC should have won the national title that year. Notre Dame had them beat, and it's like, so you can't really say they don't deserve it when they're playing one of the best teams in the country in the regular season. Same with the year that they lose to Georgia. They play with these teams that end up playing for a title or something like that. So I think it's they don't prepare as well. I don't know, I guess, but Bama 2012, that was a year but it's like they went 12-0. They went 12-0. So how are you going to say they're not supposed to be in? But they got, that was just an ass whooping. They probably didn't deserve to be in that game.
They got spit on.
But I agree with you, but I agree with what you're saying. They probably didn't deserve to go to the national title that year. But since they went 12-0, how can you say the committee or whoever picked it back then? How can you say that they shouldn't have given Notre Dame the opportunity?
No, that's my point. I
know. I'm agreeing.
Yeah,
with you.
They went 12-0. Was there talent there? Probably not. But they still
have to give it to them.
They still went 12-0, and no one else did. Actually, Ohio State did, but Ohio State was banned that year.
Yeah, I think if Ohio State is not banned, Notre Dame's 2012 national champions.
Which clearly showed that Ohio State and Notre Dame were not the two best teams in the country, but
exactly.
I agree with you on that too.
And then Notre Dame gets steamrolled by Alabama, and they would have been the champs.
But I will say, the Ohio State Notre Dame game when they lost to Ohio State, it ended up worse than what it was. Notre Dame had chances to actually make it a game. And then it's like Notre Dame beats LSU, an LSU team that was, what were they, 9-3, 8-4, and but no one gives them credit. No one gives them credit. No one gives them credit for that game though. That's completely.
That was a little fluky though.
It was, but it's okay. There's sometimes Notre Dame gets beat and it's a little fluky too. You can't just take away the ones that they win and then when they lose, it's like this is what it is.
And that's true. And then so my other point though, to play devil's advocate, when Jalen Smith, Notre Dame's best defensive player, gets hurt, top 5 pick, Bosa also got ejected from that game very early. I don't know if he got ejected first or after.
He got ejected first, and I do agree with you. The Ohio State defense he got ejected maybe second actually. In the 4, it was like 3 or 4 possessions he played. Notre Dame had like 1 first down, and then after he got hurt, I think they scored like 2 possessions in a row. So that's true for sure. And then Bosa ended up going top 5 actually. So. Right. I guess this kind of goes into another thing. Do you think Notre Dame should ever join a conference in football? Brian?
What do you think, Brian?
The answer is absolutely not. And there's only one scenario in which they would, and I've said this before, I think it was last episode. The only way they ever join a conference is if they go 11-1 and then do not get into the college football playoff because of not having the conference championship game. But I've already said that. I'm going to give more reasons why they should not. Them not being in a conference helps them with recruiting because they recruit nationally. They don't recruit like in the SEC, they dominate the South. Like obviously Alabama can get whoever the hell they want, but a lot of these SEC schools and Big Ten schools dominate certain regions of the United States, whereas Notre Dame literally goes pervasive everywhere. You can't really say there's one region where they dominate. So they schedule these games, Western Hemisphere, like Eastern Hemisphere, like everywhere, East Coast, West Coast. They go all these traveling, and that helps them with recruiting. And I'm on the train of, if you have that, Notre Dame needs to stop complaining about all these miles they travel. Like, they make their own schedule.
100%.
Ryan Kelly needs to stop talking about that.
100%.
I hate when he does that. And then also, I think they're one of the maybe 3 teams in college football that could survive without a conference affiliation. Like literally in 4 years, if somebody like, I don't know, a second-tier program like, I don't want to say Northwestern, but like some programs that it's not coming off my head. Maybe like I don't want to put in Texas, but maybe like Louisville, like teams like that. They go out of a conference for like 2-3 years. They're literally barely a program anymore. And Notre Dame's one of the brands that can stay afloat without being tied to a conference. What about you, Andrew? What do you think?
Yeah, so from a standpoint on Notre Dame's stance, 100%. Like the first point you made is the only reason they're joining the conference is if that were to happen, and I don't think that could ever really happen. I mean, it would take a miracle of scheduling and teams winning for that to happen. I know it's possible, definitely possible, but I think it's highly unlikely. And I think. So are we assuming they join the ACC then, right? Like that's where they would join?
I mean, they're technically signed with them and whatnot. Yeah. So yeah, I would assume if it came to that, they would join the ACC.
And they would obviously put Clemson on the other side, right? I mean, they would probably do that for just so the title would have a bunch of ratings.
They would definitely join the side that has like Virginia Tech in them. Yeah, because Clemson and Florida State are on the same side.
Okay. So yeah, it would. So the whole thing of it is, it's like, okay, then you're really from Notre Dame's perspective, you're putting yourself at an unnecessary disadvantage to have to go through Clemson twice or at least once. And as far as the college football playoff goes, it's like, okay, we go through 2 years straight where the Big Ten champ doesn't get in. It's like, so really, what does a conference title do for you? Like, it seems to only matter in the SEC.
See, Andrew, that's my point too, is everyone talks about this conference championship. Sorry to cut you off, though, but this is what I wanted to say was, I think it's hurt more teams than it's actually helped teams.
It's screwed the Big Ten twice already.
Well, last year, if Georgia and Alabama don't play in a conference championship, they're both in the playoffs. Oklahoma's not in.
Yeah, so that's like the whole LeBron versus Jordan argument. People discredit LeBron for making it to the NBA Finals. So Georgia gets to the SEC championship, plays the number one team in the country, loses to them.
A crazy game, too.
A crazy game where they blew it.
Yes.
Clearly feel they can hang, and they don't make the playoff because they lost. So it's so apparent that they need to do away with the conference titles, expand it to 8 teams at least, and just get the teams that deserve to be there in there. Like, how can you say that Georgia wasn't deserving of a spot? That it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so I agree with you on that 100%. I don't think the conference championships really mean anything. And then it actually hurt Ohio State the one year because remember when Penn State won it and Ohio State didn't get in, and then like a big reason was like they weren't the Big Ten champion, and it's like. Yep. Okay, but they were clearly the best team in the Big Ten. Like, I don't know how you can argue that. Do you have any more of why Notre Dame should never join?
It just from the standpoint, I guess, to play devil's advocate, when people say Notre Dame, like you said, they can play whoever they want. It's like, why would you hinder yourself to? How many does the Big Ten? They play 9 conference games a year. Is that what it is?
They just switched it. Yeah, 9.
Why theoretically, if they join the Big Ten, why would you want to play 7 dog shit teams, 6 to 7 dog shit teams these teams, I know you schedule years in advance and you can't control that either way, but at least you're giving yourself a fighting chance to be able to take a loss. It seems like joining a conference just hinders them on all levels. You're forcing yourself to play or whoever the hell it would be, like a top team.
I think
it just handcuffs them, I would say.
Yeah, handcuffs them.
So
I think Notre Dame is all about exclusivity, and if they go to a conference, they're literally not they're one of the only teams in college football that is a great brand and not in a conference. So if they lose that, they lose their version of exclusivity. They lose their niche, and then everybody's just like. People stop talking about Notre Dame as much, I think. I think it feeds Notre Dame's ego that they are as recognizable as a brand as they are without being in a conference. I think Notre Dame just literally eats that shit up.
I think there's a few points for me. I agree with you on that because they want to schedule the USCs. They want to go across country. They want to go to the East Coast, to the West Coast, play in Ireland, and that helps make them one of the most recognizable brands in college football. I also think they have a deal with NBC, so every single home game is a nationally televised game. No one else can say they have that. Yeah, granted, Alabama and those teams are always going to be on national television, but if they, for the one, year that they might be bad, they wouldn't be on every week. Notre Dame could go 1-11 next year, and every home game will still be on NBC, every single one. And I think no one else can really say that they have that because they're in a conference and their conference has deals with these TV deals and none of it's just directly with the school. So having an NBC deal, I think that alone sets a precedent of why you should not join a conference. Then the whole conference championship thing, I think that's a whole bunch of bullshit. And then what you guys said about the scheduling, that's part of their niche. That's part of what they do. They did the Shamrock Series, and they'd go to different cities that they would want to recruit in. They'd be there for 3 days, and they'd go see a bunch of guys that they are recruiting. So as a whole, it'd be stupid for them to. And they have the money. They've shown that they can be it. This whole Notre Dame could be the one team, the one school to go away from the entire NCAA and make it work. Like if they could jumpstart players getting paid in the NCAA, that's the last school they would want to do it.
Yeah, probably because it's so recognizable, not even nationally, but a little bit globally.
And they have the money to do it too.
Yeah, I think. I mean, we can. The brand is obviously there. I mean, joining a conference. They would arguably do more for the conference, no matter where they join, than the conference will do for them.
100%.
So obviously, for a brand, from the brand perspective, it's a ridiculously dumb decision. Does not make sense for them. Then when it comes down to what they really want to do, which is win and get to the college football playoff, it also handcuffs them. We just proved that through 3 years. The Big Ten champion did not get in twice out of these. How many years has it been? 5 or 6, whatever it is. The SEC, Georgia got screwed out of it from the SEC championship last year. I mean, that's half of the years. The conference championship games has screwed teams out of it essentially. So
yeah,
I mean that's.
And to go up to your point, Andrew, what do they have with this ACC deal? They play like 5 games a year, right?
Yeah.
Right.
How nobody else in college football would be able to get away with that? Absolutely none.
Agreed.
That's why the ACC was just like, okay, Notre Dame, you don't want to come in all the way. That's fine. Just half-ass it. Just be 1 feet in. We're okay with that because we want you that badly.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's an argument to be had, I guess, for people who. I mean, I think a lot of it is people just hate Notre Dame and are like, why are they the one school that doesn't have to do it and then they still make the playoffs? But
from a standpoint of like, if you argue it with somebody about how does that help them to get into the college football playoff, you can't even make the argument.
Right,
it doesn't make sense.
To your point too, Andrew, about the conference championships, is Notre Dame's proven if they win, they're not getting knocked out. So that's another thing why this whole joining conference, it'll help you out. Dude, Notre Dame's schedule is fine. Notre Dame, I mean, they've started.
They have like a top 10 preseason schedule every year. Last year they got unlucky because
every single year, and people were saying that they schedule soft. What? Like this Michigan fan was arguing with me, talking about how like he's like, oh, Florida State's real tough this year. Like we scheduled them when they were number 3 in the country. You play Rutgers and Maryland.
The ACC games, they don't get to choose. Those are given to us by the ACC.
Okay, wait, actually, yeah, that's a good point. So actually, take that all back. We just got essentially lucky then that it fell where it fell.
But Stanford ended up fizzling out. Nobody forecasted that.
Yep,
USC was supposed to be good last year.
Yeah, USC.
Michigan did end up 10-2, so it's not like they were awful. They were good. Like it's
Tech was no, that's an ACC team, so take that back.
But it's still on their schedule, still good. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's stupid. Plus, like I said, the NBC contract, that alone is my argument of why would you ever join. Plus, like you said, Brian, I think all these rich-ass donors like being the donor to the school that isn't in a conference. Like, they take that as a pride. Like, oh, we're not in a conference. Dude,
it's 100% an ego thing. I completely back that statement.
Yeah, for sure. So, from this, I would say Notre Dame is a top 3 brand in college football. Who would be your top 5? Brian?
I struggle going from 1 to 5. I like doing like the tier type of thing like we did last show.
Okay, tier 1 then. Give me your tier 1.
Tier 1, yeah. I think you got – it's tough. I mean, you definitely got Notre Dame and Alabama. I mean, you can't not put Alabama in there considering what they've been the past, like 8 years, maybe more than
easily they're tier 1, yeah.
You have to put Alabama in that. And after that, honestly, it gets pretty tough. I'm inclined to put Ohio State there in tier 1. But after that, I mean, I don't really think you can really put anybody else there.
Andrew?
Tier 1.
This is just brand recognition.
Yeah, brand recognition. I mean, it's okay. So I'm going, and this is just for college football or just
college football?
NCAA. Okay,
college football.
College football. Okay, so I'm going Notre Dame, Alabama, tier 1. I think you got to throw Michigan in there.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, they go on a European tour and it's huge. Like that's enough brand recognition right there for me.
Yeah. Just as far like
I was
Tier
supposed to be
1.
putting Texas.
I was
but-
gonna say-
no, Texas is in there for me too.
I
was
think
gonna
you
say,
have to put it. I think for me the 5 would be Michigan.
not USC.
No, I
Whether-
wouldn't. Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Texas would be my 5.
The thing is, I totally agree with you. And your brand can't be deterred by like a 5-year hiatus, which is basically what Texas is going through. So that's why I didn't put them in at first, because they haven't been that great lately. They were
Same with
decent last
USC
year.
though.
Yeah, USC is good one. I actually forgot about them. USC, I think I might put them in there actually.
When the Bush liner days, like that was
Yeah.
that's the Bama. Like that's who they were.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't put them up in Bama, but yes, they were right
Well,
up.
I'm saying like
They were
that's who they were winning, and they were like all of California was like obsessed with USC. Like that was
I just
Yeah.
think Texas has to go in there. I mean, they have their own network, and that's all based because of football, basically. Like that's their brand's pretty powerful. I think.
And Texas puts the most money into it by far.
So I would have those 5 schools, and then I would have like a Tier 1B, and I would have USC, Oklahoma, Georgia. I think Clemson's knocking on that door. I don't think they're there yet for the brand recognition. They've just won a lot lately, like you were saying, Brian. I don't think you can just go off of winning. I think there takes a lot more into brand recognition. But I would have Florida State, maybe even like Florida. But I wouldn't put
Florida, I would put in
Penn
the
State,
second one.
Penn State or no?
Penn State, because people forget back. I mean, there's a Penn State
You
back
know
in
what-
like the
They
80s.
have a long history.
Yeah,
But you know what killed their brand?
Yeah.
Everybody knows what killed their brand.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's
So that's
true.
I was going to.
Showergate?
No, you can't put it.
Showergate killed the brand.
Exactly. You can't say that then. Without that, yes, probably.
No, I agree. I think that definitely.
That's like the worst thing I've ever seen in college football. That's worse than the death penalty SMU got back in the day.
Yeah.
I
And
then
you're talking about hit to the brand. That's as bad as it gets.
and yeah, that's it can't get much worse.
but I do think Florida has a pretty good brand. I wouldn't put them up
Yeah.
in the Tier 1, but they definitely have a good brand.
Urban built that to a pretty crazy high level. I mean, they obviously have their history, but it was really starting to come around that last decade.
Yeah, it
But-
definitely went back to the good history that they have.
Yeah.
And I mean, right now, they're kind of getting back there.
Dude, I think they win a national title the next 3 years.
They're good.
You gotta kind of start thinking about a team like UCF too. No, I'm
Fuck
completely
no.
trolling. I'm trolling.
Southern Alabama, I mean.
They're national champs, man. 2018.
All right. So my 5, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Texas.
What about LSU? That's a team nobody's brought up.
See, I wouldn't put that in there. I don't think they have.
1B though. 1B.
No, I don't even think they're 1B.
Really?
Because they've just had, like, they have success, but they never really win it. But then they also, I mean, I don't think you could go, like, to the state of California and everyone would necessarily know LSU, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. But I think everyone knows so everyone knows USC though. I think there might be a team in there.
Yeah, everyone does know USC, and the stupid fight song, like, everyone knows, too.
Dude, I think also another team is what constitutes a brand is if you start sucking and you're still popular.
Right.
And I think we gotta talk maybe about even Tennessee because they've been bad
Yes.
for 10 years,
Yes.
maybe even 15, and they are still relatively relevant.
And everyone talks about them every single year, and they're supposed
Exactly.
to be picked. So, yeah, Tennessee's definitely 1B for me. They have a rich football history.
Butch Jones
It's
and the
almost
boys.
as good as Notre Dame, dude. Well, maybe not, but I was actually at a Tennessee game this past year, and I could not believe the atmosphere and how
Dude, they
crazy people
pump-
were.
They're known for pumping fake noise in
Oh,
that
yeah.
fucking stadium.
And I think they got.
I was there in 06 when Notre Dame was there 05, whatever year that
I
was.
think they got in trouble for that, and they don't do it anymore. But yeah.
Dude, they got
That's a joke.
absolutely destroyed by Florida, and they were still loud as hell the whole first quarter. I mean, they got curb stomps.
Maybe
Wasn't
it
even
was-
a game.
Maybe it was the fake noise.
It could have been, dude. I couldn't believe it.
All right, but that about wraps it up for us today. Any last thoughts, Brian?
I got nothing. We might do more of a recruiting show next week because Notre Dame's got a big recruiting show or big recruiting class coming. so far. So we'll see how that works out next week. But yeah, great show today. Notre Dame, best brand in football.
Andrew?
Yeah, we got the ND recruiting expert possibly coming on. We'll see if we can coordinate schedules with him. See what he's got to drop some knowledge on you guys, and look forward to it. Stay tuned. Let us know what you thought. Comment, subscribe.
Yep. Retweet, subscribe, do everything that you always do for us. Once again, everyone go check out saveourlivers.com. Code VictoryLap, all caps. They got some great products. Help us out. Help them out. We're looking forward to doing business with them. As always, have a good week.